Right, I've got a few more snippets for you to do with Stonehenge. I decided to expand on what I was pointing out, the two paradigms there in that first section, because some people didn't agree with one or the other of the paradigms that I was pointing out, and that's to be expected, because the people that come here are at different levels of knowledge, given from what they've been looking into while they've been doing this, so that's to be expected. But this was in the last video that I put up, the Giants video, the footprint, and it's obviously a footprint, and for those people that think it was some sort of Photoshop, even the guy that deals with the Bosnian pyramid has actually been here, and some other people, so this is real, and you can see it's real anyway. But the reason why I've started with it is it's the size, because we are going to take another look at the heel stone. Okay. So the rest are all from Stonehenge, and what I'm getting at here and why I'm pointing the heel stone out again is just how many points of congruence do you need when you're looking at an item, if you're trying to compare it to something, to, this saying is, if it looks like a duck, then it's a duck, or at least it looks like a duck, yes. So, and that's what I'm trying to point out here, and I've put these in, these angles, is because we'll start with this. So this is obviously where your ankle bone, your leg bone will go into it. If indeed this was a foot, right, well, you would expect to see something like that. And this here, whether this is the bone that has been smashed back or something like that. And not rock, if it was like a natural rock, just does not form shapes like this, which I said might be some type of strap, so I will get into that shortly. I put this in just to show you that for those people that think that this site is fake, because there are a few, like it's been constructed as a fake site, literally. So this some of the oldest images that we've got, and this is the heel stone, and it's not changed much. That's to show you how big it is. I suppose this woman's about 5 foot tall, so you can imagine how big that foot is. I suppose it's about the same size as the image I started with there. Right. So the heel stone, and again, I don't want to get into too much detail on it like I did in the last video. I just want to move on, but they do look like toes, and I said that this would be the shoe. I said it was something, something like a sandal. I don't know exactly what sort of shoe it was. I'm just saying, it would be something like that, because again, a natural rock would not leave a rim like that, because if it was something like a sandal or a shoe, you would have a rim running around it like that, and then some type of material inside, yes. So you've got that, you've got the bone that I pointed out earlier. So this is the ankle bone here, okay, and then obviously you've got the toes. And I found, I realised this after watching the Stone Age video that I made almost immediately, as I was saying, that it might have been some sort of sandal, because the mud fossil crowd thinks that the entire thing is a foot. Well, these holes here, these holes here could in fact be where a strap, well, it's on the next image. What I'm showing you here is, I think you can see this because I can see it on the camera. If you look at that, yeah, it looks like a strap, and what I'm getting at, yeah, right, so if you can imagine that these are some type of sandal, yeah, and you see the strap that joins onto the actual shoe itself that goes through your toes, could indeed be that, yeah, those holes there, which were thought to be something else. And you see the strap and buckle It's right there, or it appears to be. There's no other shapes across this entire artifact that look like that, and it's just in the right place. So again, how many points does something need to be the same as something that you're showing before you actually call it that, or at least it seems to be that? So these are the other artifacts that that got me looking into this paradigm, that do in fact look like bombs, or parts of it do, which is that one there, this, and this, which actually looks like a thumb end, but it will be too big for the artifact. I've just shown you the foot, so it really, I suppose it looks like a collarbone, if indeed that is what we're looking at. And then you get artifacts like this, as they were reconstructing this site the second time. Yeah, you just don't get stones that are shaped like that. And this is actually one of the best images that you will find, and one of the oldest ones, because it's large, naturally large. And Stonehenge is up here, but then I did notice this mound here. So, but this one looks like it is from World War One, right? So it's from very early 1900s. So it could have been reconstructed twice, or at least started. So, because that mound there might have been something to do with putting this back together. That's the second best image that you'll find across the entire net, the oldest ones. And we'll get into this artifact here, but you can see how most of it's still on the ground and leaning over. Yeah, if we are proving that this site is original, it's just been put back together badly to prove their aligning with stars and frequency paradigm. This artifact I showed you, and immediately afterwards I realised what this guy was doing. These lats of wood, which I showed you that this was done in the 1950s, this is not original because it had nothing inside it, did it? Right, I showed you this. He's actually building this. That there and there is actually these lats of wood, right? And they will go all the way across, or it's wood that's got concrete in it, or something like that. Or somebody comes now and again and sprays it to make it look like rock. But you can see that it's been put in there since, hasn't it? Well, you couldn't put hard diorite rock in there, because that's what they're making it look like. All these four images are the same artifact, and this has since been knocked off. You can see there's nothing inside there now. But this thing has been completely knocked off. Right, this here doesn't exist anymore. Like I was saying, the site's been sanitized from whatever paradigm that you're looking at it, and that's just a few images to show you the type of technology that you need to actually move these things around. And you've got a concrete mixer here, which is how they eventually held the stones in place. But this isn't from that mixer. This is ancient eroded concrete completely. And you can see then the cleaning around this, so this is indeed ancient, and it's starting to harden again as it gets wet in the rain. But what I'm showing you here is, because they try and say that it's tens of thousands of years old, and it was only last week I saw a report that they were saying that it was 1 million years old. Well, if you look at the depth of the topsoil there, it's only about 2 inches. So that just blows that straight out of the water, doesn't it? And for those people that think it's completely fake, well, you could dig to any depth that you want on this site, and you would find original, you know, rocks like this. Whether they've turned into rock, which is what I think it is. You know, concrete will turn into sandstone or limestone. I think the bluestones were originally wood. All right, but no matter where you dig, you get all this. So it's not fake. It's just ridiculous, is that paradigm. Right, what I'm showing you here is, this is important because this is my main premise. that is something modern. If you look up here, can you see this rebar? Right, there's metal framing that's been encased by modern day concrete, right? This is Göbekli Tepe, and all these holes in here that have since been filled in as the lime's got hard again is where rebar, exactly the same as that was. So this site, it wasn't what they make out. I've made a video on that, watch it. This is Stonehenge, and if you can, you see that bar in there? Yeah, it's right there, there. In fact, it's all the way across. So there is indeed metal framing inside this, because this was constructed of concrete and metal framing, but it does seem to have a surface over it, which I would say has come about from it being under the ocean. You know, if you put things on the bottom of the ocean, they get a crustacean over them, don't they? And if you fetch them to the surface, that goes hard and turns into a rock. Because if you look down the side of here, you've got two definite different colours. This is like a soft concrete, yeah, and you see that on the inside, and then you've got a thin layer of hard stone, right? Obviously this has since been covered up. There's more of that barring on a different stone and on here. In fact, when you come and look at the images, have a look at that rock there, you can still actually see rebar inside there. There's another look at that, where you've got two different layers, like a softer concrete inside that's since got a hard layer of rock over it. And these are just the paradigms that various groups try to get you to believe. Obviously this is mainstream archaeology that they've done without even thinking, because that's just completely impossible and ridiculous. If I had to place myself on any of these four, it would be this one. I'm not saying that the cars, but I think it's turned into rock, right? So that, you know, I would align myself with this one. This is obviously a giant, but it's placing, you know, huge stones, natural stones on top of natural stones, which I've told you that nothing is rock carved, and this is the megalithic world. You know, what they want you to think is that this site was something to do with frequency and aligning it to the stars and days of the week and all that type of thing. Okay, this is a top view, and I tried to point out to you in the last video that it does, you know, I mean, these are old images, right? So this is really before they were driving trucks all over it again, and it's got a definite shape to it, like it was a dome. Yeah, like the House of Representatives or St. Petersburg, you know, the dome that sits on top, and everything else is just rotted away and you're just left with the concrete and rebar. You get me? So the entire rest of the site is buried under God knows how deep, but you can even see down here, you know, it actually sits on top of a huge slope, and it just appears to have been some type of dome, right? There's areas where there's petrified wood, because that's what that is, and again you can see how deep this top layer goes, and all this is eroded concrete, and that's why it looks like it. This is strange. I mean, that there, it just looks like a huge toe end to me. I mean, it's even got a nail there, which is snapped. Very strange.